into this Wednesday community update, everyone. It is Wednesday, and we are going to be talking with Alan Adler, the host of the Truck Tech newsletter, podcast, and show that airs right here on FreightWaves TV. Alan, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good to see you, Isaiah.
Good to see you as well. Always glad to have you here. And Alan, before we get into the serious stuff, I got to ask you real quick about the American League Championship Series. Your Cleveland Guardians are taking on the New York Yankees. They're already down one game, but do you have some hope that maybe they can turn it around and pull out a win and head to the World Series?
Well, I think hope springs eternal, but I think they're up against a pretty tough team, and I feel like it's probably Yankees and 6. I mean, it's just. In reality, I think Cleveland's got some nice players, but I don't think they match up terribly well with the Yankees.
Yeah, well, you still made it a little farther than the Braves. They were able to squeak into the postseason, but couldn't get out of the wild card round, unfortunately. A lot of injuries plaguing them this year, sadly, but hopefully next year will be a little bit better. But Alan, let's go ahead and get into some of the more serious stuff. Volvo VNL is beefing up their maintenance contract. What's some of the things that could go wrong with these fleets during the maintenance that you're seeing right now?
Well, so much of maintenance really is a question of the routine stuff, right? And a lot of fleets, I say, are going to do it themselves, and they're very comfortable with it. They've got their own workshops and things like that. I think what Volvo's trying to do as these trucks become more computers on wheels is to persuade the fleets to think differently about them. In other words, if Volvo was doing all of that back end work in terms of making these things so much more of a computer than a mechanical animal or beast, then let the people who know how to do it do that maintenance. And I think, you're looking at things like predictive maintenance and planned maintenance. Of course, we've had planned maintenance around forever. When should you replace your brake pads? How often should you be draining your oil and that sort of thing? But I think now we're looking at, newer things like predictive maintenance. When are things going to wear out and things like that? It's something the airline industry's done forever. And I think the trucking industry is beginning to catch up with it now. And, Volvo's new blue service contract is what they're aiming at. They brought the contract out a year ago, but this week at the American Trucking Association's conference, they announced enhancements to it. That includes, some artificial intelligence and that sort of thing. But by and large, it's intended to do that whole peace of mind thing. You can roll it into the price of a truck, and essentially, they have one payment and then just have, your maintenance sort of taken care of for you. And I think, Volvo's got, 400 workshops across the country. So, you're going to have a personal kind of a white glove approach in terms of a single person who's your contact on a truck and that kind of thing. So I think that's something they hope to be able to sell to customers as sort of an all-in kind of approach to the truck.
And Alan, the Freightliner Cascadia has some new features, but it's not an all-new truck like the Volvo VNL. Can you tell us why that is?
Well, it's all about cycles, really. I mean, Freightliner did its last really big upgrade in 2019 for 2020, and they introduced a lot of safety technology, a lot of assisted kind of automated driving assistance, the first versions of lane centering and things like that, and for a collision alert, and a lot of other things that cars have had for many years, but were a little slower to come to trucks. So they were a leader at that time. They still have a very, very competitive truck. I mean, it's the market leader of the Cascadia, close to 40% market share, in terms of Class 8. So they didn't need to do all that much. I think the things they did, I kind of termed it as nifty enhancements. There's some interesting things. They got rid of the airlines. They used to be behind the dash, and that big bang and hiss sound that you hear when the brakes are released or when they're set. You don't hear that anymore on this truck. You've got integrated video camera mirrors now, which is going to be a system that that Freightliner has done pre-wiring for the aftermarket for years, but is now going to make it available as an option, from the factory, where they will integrate the camera system right in. And ultimately, if the fleets decide they want to take the original mirrors, factory mirrors off, they could see 2 to 3% fuel efficiency improvements. So the camera mirrors are another one. There's, remote lock and unlock, things, again, that we're used to on our cars, but are still pretty new for trucking. So those are a few things that Freightliner has done. You're not going to see that Volvo is claiming a 10% fuel efficiency gain with their all new VNL. Freightliner is looking at 1.9%, but they say, but remember, we've done 35% better fuel efficiency over the first 4 generations of the truck dating back to 2007. So, not every one of them is going to be, kind of a home run, since we were talking baseball before, but these are all things that are helpful. They're all things that fleets ask for. And so the idea that Freightliner with the 5th generation of the truck is trying to answer some of those questions without going into an all new vehicle.
And Alan, the Cascadia and the VNL are 2 of the heavy hitters in Class 8 trucks. Are these going to be kind of what the topic is going to be on Truck Tech's episode today?
Well, Truck Tech today, we spent time with Magus Gustafson, who is the head of the head of the area. He used to run the Volvo Uptime Center, and now he's the vice president of connected vehicles for them. So he and I have a pretty good discussion today around the things that are in the Blue Service contract, and also sort of some of the trends that trucking is seeing, as we move more towards what's called the software-defined truck, that is, again, more computer than maybe mechanical. And so that's our show today. Yesterday on FreightWaves, we had the text version, if you will, with some photos of the new Freightliner. We'll have an episode in a couple 3 weeks from our trip over to Ypsilanti, Michigan, where they showed us the truck, and we'll get into some more details in a future episode.
And Alan, if people want to check out today's episode of Truck Tech, how can they do that?
3:00 Eastern today on the FreightWaves YouTube channel under Truck Tech. You can find the streaming episode. It will then join the playlist up there. There's 80 some episodes if anybody really has time on their hands, but we've got some pretty good ones that are up there. Then on Friday, the Truck Tech newsletter, 11:00 Eastern on freightwaves.com, as well as email to our opt-in list. You can certainly subscribe to that at freightwaves.com and join the list of subscribers there.
Alan, it is always a pleasure to have you on with us to talk Truck Tech, and we appreciate you being here with us. And I just want to say good luck to your Guardians as they continue on in the American League Championship Series. Thanks again for being here, Alan.
Thanks, Isaiah. Have a great day.